How to leave a large tax-free inheritance without life insurance. I know you thought I was going to say life insurance, right? But we're not. I'm going to show you how to leave a large tax-free inheritance without using life insurance. So welcome to Heritage Wealth Planning, my friends, the place where you come to figure out how to leave a large life insurance free inheritance without using life insurance. And so we're going to talk about that. That is going to be chapter 10 of my book, The Tax Bomb in Your Retirement Accounts, how the Roth IRA helped you avoid it. So I wonder if the Roth will have something to do with this. Stay tuned. It's gonna. So if you like what you see here, click down below to subscribe. As always, click the notification button up there, the little bell, to be notified for future content. You might get sick of me with all the future content because I do, many videos. But hey, hopefully you'll learn something. So let's dive right into this in chapter 10. A large tax-free inheritance without life insurance. In my opinion, the Roth IRA is the most effective and underutilized method of transferring wealth to future generations. Now, look, I used to have a life insurance license. I've sold a bunch of life insurance. I like life insurance. I'm a fan of it, absolutely. But I can hear all my life insurance friends screaming out there, Josh, Roth is not preferable to life insurance. They're crazy. And they're correct. The Roth IRA is not preferable to life insurance in order to create an instant estate. Nothing else can do that. Only life insurance can create an instant estate. And what I mean by that is just here, watch my example here. Say you're 45 years old, making good money and in good health. Your net worth consists of the equity you have in your home and a $250,000 in a 401k. One day you get hit by a bus and die. Now, pretty crass, but we're just going to say that. Always getting hit by the bus. So daggum bus drivers. Your spouse is going to inherit the equity in your home plus your $250,000 of retirement accounts, assuming the deed on your house with joint tenants with rights of survivorship. This day and age, you can never make that assumption, but assuming that's the case, and the beneficiary designation was your surviving spouse as well on your retirement accounts. Now, $250,000, that's not chump change, but it will be taxable for sure, and that's not generational wealth. It's just not. Of course, at some point, she'll get the equity on your home. She has to sell that, or he will have to sell it in order to receive the equity. So, that's not generational wealth by any stretch of the imagination. However, for pennies on a dollar, you could buy a $2 million life insurance policy. Probably costs a couple $100. But there's a couple problems with this. The most obvious one, of course, is that you had to die for that sizable estate to be created. Life insurance doesn't pay out until you die. That might not be a big deal if you're 89 years old and you're sitting there and just, pee into a cup every day. I don't know. But if you're, mid 40s, decent health and have some kids, you probably want to avoid that, I would think. It's probably more important to be with your family than to create an instant estate. Second issue is you actually have to pay for the premiums, all right? So you have to pay until you die. And thankfully, we do not know when that's going to be. So your premium could be anywhere from a couple months to many, many decades to come. We just don't know. Because of that ignorance about when you're going to die, the vast majority of life insurance policies never actually pay out. They just don't. The vast majority don't. Most people stop paying premiums well before they die. Now, what if you're saying, no, it's not going to be me. I'm going to pay those premiums. Hey, that's fantastic. You'll be the exception to the rule. But you still have to get underwritten for the policy. All right. And that's not as easy as you think. The life insurance tries to make it a little bit more intelligent in their underwriting and make it quicker, but still not that easy. If they find out something, in medical history, when they pull their physician statement, they're going to pull what's called APS, annual physician's statement, an annual physician statement. And when they pull that, there could be stuff in there that, maybe you said you're depressed. Maybe you said you had a previous history of alcoholism. Maybe you got nicotine in your lungs and your blood. Maybe. And that's always going to make the underwriting hard, especially for a large life insurance policy. Once you break the 7 figures in life insurance, EKGs are going to be done. A lot more decided in terms of underwriting is going to happen, which means it's that much harder to get. And anything they can see, they're going to ring you up and make it more expensive because they don't want to be on the hook for a $2 million life insurance policy when you've only been paying for a couple months. In fact, the older you get, the more difficult it is that you get approved anyway. Now, when you're young and in good health, life insurance is easy to get and cheap, and you should get it. Absolutely. I think everybody should have a term, everybody. And I say that in a couple of videos. And so while policy on a 45-year-old woman in great shape isn't going to be expensive, you got to wonder, is creating an instant estate top of the mind for her when maybe she's divorced, got to get kids to take care of, got to get the kids through college, got to save up for her own retirement account, and she might be squeezed financially as it is. Creating an instant estate is not priority number one for her, or even if she's married, it doesn't matter. I don't think it is. So because of that, most people should get term insurance without question, and that will create an instant estate, which a Roth IRA cannot do. When it comes to the wealth potential of generational, multi-generation tax-free wealth where you don't have to die, nothing beats a Roth IRA. So imagine this. I love this example right here because I think back in 1972, and they did not have Roth IRAs back then. But so let's just say you're a door-to-door salesman in 1972. You're in sales, going door-to-door, selling encyclopedias. You stumble across this one neighborhood, and they were jonesing to have all that information just at their fingertips. And so you just made out like a bandit. You sold and you sold and you sold and made the best money you've ever had. And with some of that extra commissions, you said, you know something? I'm going to put into this thing called a Roth IRA. Now, just between you and me, there was no Roth IRA until 1997, but just pretend there were in 1972. So you took $5,000 of your profits, your net commissions, and you invested it into a Roth IRA. Unfortunately, in 1973 and then again in 1974, the markets got hammered. So we've had some pretty significant declines, 2007 to 2009, 2001 and 2, 1973, 74, and then obviously the Great Depression. I'm missing one. But anyways, 1973 and 74 was one of the top 5 worst market declines we've ever had. And so in 1973, the markets fell by 14%. And then in 1974, they fell by 26%. So your $5,000 that you started with was only worth $31.86 at the start of 1975. But you had discipline. You said, easy come, easy go. Let's sit there and see what happens. And then the magic of compounding kicked in. And even after Business Week did their front page, the death of equities in 1979, which is the beginning of the boom market for years for sure. You kept in there, even though everyone's saying we're all socialists now, or everyone's saying equities are done, the stock market, blah, 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 and you just let it ride. And so what happened was you averaged 10% a year over the next 3 decades. All right. So that's factual what happened. 73, 74, you got hammered. Then and from 75 on, you averaged 10% a year. Now, since this was a Roth IRA, there was never any required minimum distributions. All right. And so you never had to touch the money. You just let it grow. Then in 2006, you got hit by that bus and you went to your greater reward. But before you left this earth, with your last breath, you ask your wife, please, honey, don't touch that Roth IRA we started back in 72. Just let it sit there for the kids. And your wife said, you got it, honey. I'll do that. And she just let it sit there. But then October 2007 came around and things got real scary. By March 2009, that inheritance you intended for your kids that your wife was on board too was cut in half. And your wife was like, I don't know, maybe we should stop the bleeding and sell this puppy and just salvage what we have left. But then she remembers it's so important to you to leave that money there, and she did. And she left it there and let it ride. After all, she said, we only start with $5,000. It's worth more than that. We'll just let it go. Now, in January of 2008, your wife got hit by that same bus driver and joined you in paradise. But before she took her last breath, she called for her statement. She looked at it, and she smiled. She knew that you and her had done a great job by your children, because that $5,000 you started with in 1972 was worth $364,000 in 2018. 5,000, 1972. I was 2 years old. If you would have put $5,000 in an account for me in 1972, that puppy would be worth $364,000 today, tax free. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax-free wealth were created from that tiny $5,000 investment. Tax-free. Is that crazy? Can that happen again? Why not? Will it happen again? No. It could be worth more. It could be less. I have no idea. But you don't have to be Warren Buffett to have had that happen. That was just some plain vanilla blue chip S&P 500 fund. No big deal. That multi-generational tax-free wealth is within your grasp. Absolutely. You just got to do 2 things. Hey, you got to start. The trek of 10,000 miles, the hardest step is the first. You just got to start. Then you got to discipline yourself just like the lady did and the husband, never to touch it. Regardless of what happens to the market, say, I'm not touching this puppy. It's there for the long term. And if you can do that, you're going to create generational tax-free wealth. Again, it might not be as much, but don't forget, that guy started in 73, 74. The markets were down 45%, all said, when he started that. And he still was able to do it. So I don't want to hear all that 1982 was the boom years and 1999. Yeah, it was. But the boom years started in 73 and 74, went to 2001 and 2, and also went from October 2007 to March 2009. And yet $5,000 grew to $364,000 with no fancy investment prowess, no PhDs from Harvard or MIT, just discipline and the ability to start to begin with. All right. Hope you find this helpful, my friends. If you like what you see, as I always say, go to my, you can get my book for free, heritagewealthplanning.com. You'll get a pop-up. It's going to go boom. And you'll see the thing. Just enter your email, your first name, and your state. The reason I like to track the states is because I like to see, as I'm interested to see where people are getting it from, but also each state is specific when it comes to taxes and estate taxes in particular. And I'm going to start doing a series of videos on estate taxes. And you might find that interesting as well. But then you'll get the pop-up. You can always unsubscribe anytime you want. If you want the paperback of the book, it is on Amazon for $5.99. So you can certainly go there and get that as well. And it's on Kindle for free, Kindle Unlimited for free. You go to Kindle Unlimited and get that for free as well. So don't forget to subscribe, bell to be notified for future content. Hit the thumbs up. That's right. Thumbs up always help me for sure. Thumbs up, and then comments always help me as well. So we'll see you next time on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.